received. I've tasted what it means. Now nothing else is good enough for me. You're all I need. You're all I need. You're all I need. You're all I need. Oh, I need you. Yeah, I need you. Oh, I need you now. Now I owe it all to you, giving my heart to you, freedom becoming true. Nobody else like you, do what you promised to, and I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for your love. I'm so grateful, grateful, grateful. I'm so grateful. I need you in my life. Grateful, grateful,
What's up, everybody? We are live and direct on a Tuesday night like we do it every Tuesday, where, God willing, we are able to go live and talk about what's going on in the world. I appreciate everybody who's been tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like button, share this video. We're going to talk about all of the implosion going on over on the Democratic side, where they are trying to figure out their leadership and their message and their direction for this upcoming year, and I think the foreseeable future at this point. Also, all of the, TDS has taken on a new meaning with all of the Tesla stuff that's been going on. People vandalizing Tesla dealerships and cars and stuff. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about people talking about leaving the country. Some other stuff going on too. So we'll get into all of that. Again, make sure you guys like the video, share this with your friends. We'll be right back. You are watching Young Lion TV. Come on.
young lion, everywhere I look, they dying. Everywhere I look, they dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they dying. Everywhere I look, they dying. Young lion, won't you get up and start fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding. Young lion.
That's right, Young Lion TV. That is the intro. That means it's time to have a conversation. And we do this every Tuesday night when we can get together and have serious conversations, talk about things that are going on in the world, something that we've done for a long time. About a decade now, we've been having these deeper conversations as we grew older as men and came into life and understanding. Because we started out just kind of traveling around the world, being musicians, living like young men and not really taking things as serious as we should, or understanding how important it was to become men. And we realized that there's a void in the culture ushering young men into manhood. And I see that a lot online on X and just on social media in general, just seeing a lack of men being ushered into manhood and fatherhood and understanding how to be a husband and how to be an adult male. Because we got a lot of adults that are males, but they're not men. So we've been having these conversations for a long time, just seeing where we went wrong, things that we've learned, stuff that we want to pass on to the next generation. And so that's where this was kind of born out of, also born out of our music. If you know about our band, Jatan, that we started a long time ago. So that's where the Young Lion comes from. It's from one of our songs, the one that you just heard right there. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was gonna say everybody wants to be lions,
Yeah,
but you got to be a lamb before you can be a lion.
right. And you got to be a young lion. You can't be a king until you learn how to be the young lion who grows in. Well, you never fully attain that kingship. I feel like you're always trying to learn that.
Yeah,
You're always
especially
trying to grow
in
yeah.
this age,
in this life, in this
life, yeah.
world. We're constantly growing into that king, which we will come into fullness of once we reunite with Jesus and God. But yeah, so this was birthed out of that. So again, just giving you the backstory. If you're new here, if this is the first time you're catching the podcast, this is where it was birthed out of. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time before this whole podcast wave was going, and talking to nobody a lot of times, but we're talking to each other, and we just thought it was important for culturally just to be able to have these conversations and do it in front of people, so that there could be an example of men that are willing to have conversations about real issues. Because when we were coming up, man, if you didn't talk about sports or cars or even video games, things like that, men didn't really want to have a conversation with you. So we kind of were changing the narrative around that. And we've done that in like our friends group and just kind of culturally wanted to see the shift. And we're seeing that happen now, which is so fulfilling to see how culture has kind of shifted in that way. So again, Young Lion TV, Young Lion Podcast. We do it every Tuesday night live because we don't like editing, so we can do it live and then, just have it out there and maybe make some clips out of it and put those up later. But if that's something that you want to get behind, make sure you guys hit that like button and share this video with your friends, because the topics that we hit have never been favorable by the algorithm. We've been shadow banned so many times. I mean, we've seen when we first started out, our viewership was growing and spiking, and then right when COVID hit, it was like, man, we got throttled, and we've been trying to recover ever since. So if you guys like the video, please share it. If you like the type topics that we talk about, if you think we do a good job trying to produce these things independently ourselves, we do it, just with the technology that we have available to us. Make sure you guys share the video. But we do have a Patreon, and shout out to all of our Patreon members that have been supporting for so long. We appreciate each and every one of you. We have some people that have been rocking with us for since we started, and we really, really appreciate y'all. Head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/youngliontv, where you can become a member for as little as $3 a month. And we have a bunch of different tiers there where you're basically just supporting, helping us continue to try to grow this thing, keep the community growing. And also, if you want to get the merch, we do have Young Lion merch. We have merch for our band as well over on our website. It's jatan.com/shop. You can see all of the different stuff that we have available there, where there's Young Lion merch available on there as well. But today I got with me, everybody's kind of busy today. People are running around doing their thing, working. James got his son in soccer practice. We found out. I didn't even know he was playing soccer, but, I'm happy about that. So this evening I got with me my brother. He's my big brother, but he's everybody's big brother. If you know him, you know that. And he's the preacher, the teacher, the people reacher. And I'm sure he's got some word for us this evening. He is Mr. Jacob Eugene Evans III in the building.
What's up, guys?
And of course, we have the best producer in the podcast land. She is our mother. There's your camera. She's it's 3 now. She's got her new camera angle, and she's looking so nice over there, Mom. You look nice and lit well and everything. Way better camera now. So, but we love her. She's been producing this for us for a few years now, and we love it. She is our mother, Miss Angeli Lopez. Yeah. And me, I am one of the co-hosts and just the navigator that tries to keep the clips rolling and make sure the technical side of everything is working properly. If you see me get up and run over there to the computer, it's because either someone called in remotely or some kind of glitch or something that I got to deal with. So I'm going to handle that over there. And my name is Jamie Evans. But so this is what we do every Tuesday, podcasts, talk about stuff. You sent me some stuff that you wanted to talk about. But before we get into that stuff, I got to talk about the crazy, like, civil war implosion that is happening with the Democrats right now. It seems like they are kind of in disarray. I don't know if you've been paying attention at all.
Nope, it's fresh for me.
It's fresh for you.
Fresh for
Okay.
me.
So there's kind of like a struggle for power right now because, you know, they were pushing this whole government shutdown thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were threatening basically like if the government shuts down, it's going to be the Republicans' fault because they didn't want to make a deal, blah, blah, blah. So they were threatening to shut down the government so they can blame the Republicans. But then once it came down to it, when they realized that that wasn't going to play well, then they tried to flip the script and say, like, you know, we can't shut down the government. And then Chuck Schumer basically caved, made people get on board with the bill that they just passed. And then a bunch of the, like, AOCs and I think Nancy Pelosi came out again. Most of the women came out and, like, came against him and spoke out against him, saying that, you know, he caved. He went on The View. They were mad at him. So we'll get into a little bit of that. But there has been polling going on where they're trying to figure out who is going to be the leader for the Democratic Party. Who is going to be their next, like, person to take charge, because we got elections coming up again in 4 years, of course, but even the 2026 elections. So who is going to be that person that can, you know, take charge? But let's take a look at some of these polls. So I saw this come out, and this was on CNN, talking about, like, the approval rating of the Democratic Party right now. Let me see if we get some audio here. There we go.
Welcome Inside Politics Sunday. I'm Manu Raju. First up this morning, a brand new exclusive CNN poll that paints a brutal reality for Democrats as they struggle to mount a unified opposition to President Trump. Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling, going back more than 30 years. As you can see, the party's numbers dropping a staggering 20 points in just 4 years. The CNN SRSR's poll also found 57% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters are more interested in seeing their party leaders stop the GOP agenda, compared to 42% who are more interested in cutting bipartisan deals. It is a big shift from where the party stood at the start of Trump's first term in 2017.
You see, that is a huge difference right there. Do you see that poll right there? It says a lot about where the messaging with the Democrats have been, where it's like back in 2017, 74% were like, okay, we don't like Trump being elected, but they need to work together for us to get anything accomplished in this country. That's how the government has worked from the beginning of times. Like, maybe the person that you wanted to win didn't get in that office, but we need the parties to work together in Congress and in the Senate so that we can get things done for the American people, whether it's lowering taxes or whatever the things that are that we want to get passed. But you see that things have become so divisive so that now only where we at 8 years later, and 57% of the Democratic Party says that they just want you to stop whatever the GOP is doing. Like, that's kind of wild.
Yeah. But at the same time, you got to think about, like, in 2017, all these people who are now working in Trump's cabinet were Democrats.
That's true.
So a lot of these people have flipped. So the Democratic Party looks a whole lot different than it did back in 2017.
Well, there's been a whole shift even in the voter base too. I think a lot of people.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So now you're getting the very just partisan, like,
the
blue
very,
no matter
very,
what, very like just anti-Trump
and
people.
their ideas, not just anti-Trump, but like even their ideology.
Yeah.
What they're connected to.
Right.
What the things that they believe in. It's very, very different. Like, because you have moderate left, you have like.
But I feel like a lot of the moderate left found themselves either not voting or voting for Trump, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
Like, even Trump was a moderate.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, like 30 years ago, Trump
Yeah.
was a Democrat.
So
yeah.
now it's like it's a whole different landscape.
Yeah.
You know, so we're navigating through this, and so you can't, like, when you say Democrat, it's a whole lot different than it was back in 2017.
That's true. It's funny because I just posted something. Oh, snap. I just posted something today on X about, there was a Key and Peele skit about Republicans, black Republicans, right? And in the post that I put up, I said, like, it's funny because Trump has totally flipped this narrative on its head. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because it was funny. It was a funny skit that they did, but it was like a stereotype of what a black conservative is. Let me see if I had it on here. I posted it on, you know what? I posted it on Instagram.
Yeah, I remember when you posted that.
Yeah. Here it is. Okay. You can pull this up, Mom. There's our Instagram page there. You know what? Let's go to this view here. So you can see it bigger.
A shortcut like government spending to prop up the economy.
Nothing more we love than those federal programs.
You two are Democrats, aren't you?
What? Of course we are.
You see the color of our skin, don't you? How could we not blindly vote Democratic?
That would be ridiculous.
Whatever. All I know is my polling place closed in 15 minutes.
Why, that would be terrible.
Awful. Are you going to elect tax and spend politicians if you can't vote?
It's hard enough to vote with all those voter ID laws. Republicans.
Gosh darn Republicans.
I know, I'm just like, grrr.
10 and 2, Douglas. Right. You know, if there were any Republicans here, whoa, I'd be pissed. I'd be royally pissed.
Me too.
In fact, I would take their hard-fought principles and I'd shove it right up their keisters.
We seem to be driving in circles.
Don't worry, we're almost there. Look, it appears we've hit somebody. We should get out and help him.
Oh, my leg.
Oh, my leg.
Whoa, there you go. I am pissed.
What? I'm royally pissed.
Now, although it was only this one man's fault, I will be using all of your tax dollars to get healthy, thanks to the Affordable Health Care Act. I know it doesn't seem fair, but that's supposedly the law of the land nowadays.
You don't look that hurt. Why y'all wearing those same leather jackets and those dad jeans?
Disperse.
So stupid. But yeah, like back, and I said in the caption, like, when we were growing up, this was the idea of a black conservative. It was like very stiff and corny guy, black guy, not really down with the culture, you know. And it's crazy how that has shifted because of Trump, basically.
Yeah.
Like, Trump has changed what the Republican Party is. The Republican Party is not the same Republican Party from the 1990s, even the early 2000s. Like, it's not the George Bush Republican Party anymore. And that's why you have Tulsi Gabbard. That's why you have Elon Musk. That's why you have even like Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg trying to get on board, because Trump, like you said, Trump was a moderate leftist. You know, Trump was a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Democratic Party has gotten so far off its course that normal middle of the road people that just are using common sense are like, yo, I can't rock with this anymore. And I think especially for a lot of black people that blindly voted Democrat for years, just because we were raised that's what you do. You know, the Democratic Party are for black people. We were told this and we just believed it blindly, and nobody really did research. I know for me, for a fact, like, even voting for Obama, that was the main reason. It wasn't until Trump ran and you kind of being like, yo, I don't know, we something's about Trump, man, we need to look into. And then, like, I started actually doing research into politics and doing research into the country. Well, I had already, the funny thing is, like, it was a progression because I had already been doing research into, like, the real founding of the country and, like, all of the the weird secret society stuff and the conspiracy side of like how the country was founded. All of that stuff had been kind of, bubbling in the YouTube spheres back in the day.
Yeah.
And so when Trump came around and then you were kind of saying that, and then I realized that, okay, I knew that like all these politicians were part of the same clubs, part of the same families, locked into the same groups, and they were all like, one. So to me, it was like politics was just a game. Mm-hmm. But when Trump came in and then I started paying attention and watching how he was pretty much pulling the curtain back. He was Toto as the Wizard of Oz on the Wizard of Oz, like pulling the curtain back so you could see like, now this is what's really happening. And people that and if you could like step outside of your own biases and your own like emotion at that time, then things started to become a lot clearer. Like, oh, okay, so we need somebody that doesn't need any clout in this system. He doesn't need the system to validate him. He just really wants to get in and do some damage, change some stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it kind of changed. And of course, like you had the Lincoln Project, you have all these never Trumper Republicans that popped up when he won in 2016 because like they didn't want their gravy train to run out. They hear what this guy's talking about. He's an outsider. He doesn't know how this game works that we've been playing all these years. Like we're all on the same team pretty much. Like we get out there and do this little like puppet show every 2 years and pretend we're fighting with each other when we need to pass these bills, and then we all go to dinner at Cosmos Pizza or whatever it's called, Comet Pizza.
I mean, even when he went in 2016, he didn't know the game, so people that he had trusted in thinking they had the country's best interest at heart, he found out the hard way.
Right.
There were a lot of these people he had in his cabinet were like a lot of lobbyists that they had their own.
Well, he was
agendas.
trusting people that were already
in the Republican Party.
Yeah. And they were lying to him, telling him that
this is the one.
Yeah, I'm on board with you. I want to do what you want to do. But really, they were loyal to their donors, loyal to, Mitch McConnell or whoever was the leader of the Republican Party at the time, the true leader.
Yeah,
they're more loyal to that than anything. So they were actually given the task of like keeping this guy in check.
Yeah, and he's kind of, I wouldn't say winging it, but he doesn't know the game of politics,
right?
So he's trusting in people that didn't have his best interest at heart or the country's best interest.
He trusted in Mike Pence.
Absolutely.
And he was like, ooh, he's totally against him now. But anyway, I was going to say it's not only blacks, Hispanics.
Oh, no,
is so
absolutely.
Democratic that my aunt was voting Democrat all her life. And then now she's a Republican.
Yeah.
And she's 88 and she's definitely a Republican.
Yeah.
Now.
See, I wouldn't go as far as say I'm a Republican.
Yeah,
well, that's what
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah, no, I know. But I'm saying voting Trump, which is, Republican.
That's why people make a distinction between MAGA and Republicans. Because, and I think like they've tried to turn that into a bad thing. They've tried to make that sound crazy or demonize that. But no, there's a distinct difference between establishment Republicans, the old rhinos, and these Republicans that have been in power for so long, and what the MAGA movement is.
Yeah.
The MAGA movement is full of ex-Democrats that don't want to go down this road of just like what the Democratic Party is anymore. And also like people that really want this country to do better and realize that, I'm not going to get anywhere playing the game with either side of these politicians. So they're aligning themselves with this Trump MAGA movement because these are people that really want to see this country get fixed. That's why you have the Doge situation where they're trying to really cut government spending. They're really trying to make a huge dent in what's been going on over the last, 100 years in this country.
You know what's so funny? I have my neighbor behind me. He says Puerto Rican. He calls me up and says, I'm running for Democratic councilman and I need your signature on something. I said, I'm independent. He was like, oh, okay, bye.
He just assumed you were a Democrat.
Yes, it was so funny. I was like,
Well, let's keep going. I want to show you guys some more stuff that's going on in the Democratic Party because there was another poll that came out, and I think this was a CNN. Yep, CNN poll done March 6th through 9th with 1,206 U.S. adults, and they polled who was the leaders of the Democratic Party. I just want to point out. Oh no, let me take it down. I want you to guess. You already saw. Okay. You already saw. But so out of all of the Democrats that you know and can think of, who do you think got the most votes for leader of the Democratic Party?
Kamala.
I mean, I would have thought Barack Obama.
You would have thought that, right?
I thought that, but I already saw.
Yeah.
But you think you saw.
Yeah,
but did you really look carefully?
No, we didn't look at it carefully.
Well, it looked like it said no name.
Yeah.
No name?
So no name got 30% of the vote.
Who is no? What? I don't even understand that.
That means there is no leader. That means.
But after.
I'd rather vote for no one. And then the next one in line, okay, now we can bring it up. The next one in line Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yep. I saw that.
But only 10% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
So
even like Jasmine Crockett, man, she's so horrible.
Bro, look at this lineup here. This is what I'm saying. This is why people are saying they're in full disarray, implosion, because you got AOC as one, Kamala, who just got destroyed to the point where people were saying she probably better never ever run again. She's in second place.
Unbelievable. And Ocasio.
Bernie Sanders still holding it down. And then you got Timu Obama next to Obama with more votes than him.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
And Jasmine Crockett. Yeah. So you're talking about Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, all these people are after all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, this is what they're putting up as the core values of the Democratic Party. AOC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, this has caused, and AOC is the one that they are kind of floating the idea of her primarying Schumer because he caved on Trump. So they're saying like, oh, we should get AOC to primary Schumer, have her run for the Senate.
Wow.
So it's interesting. Let's watch this this breakdown on MSNBC.
Country. This really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44%, you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country. First of all, the mood of the country. This really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44%, you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004.
That was the last time it cracked 44% of being on the right track. So all of this narrative that you're seeing these pundits spin, especially like the political people, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, saying that, the public is, all of these town halls that they're claiming these are Republicans, people are exposing. I don't know, have you seen these clips of the town halls?
I haven't seen any.
So there's these clips going around of these Republican town halls that they're doing around the country, and there's all these people there, shouting down the speaker and protesting Elon Musk and protesting Doge, and they're wearing MAGA hats, but these are all paid operatives. These are all people that are just being paid to show up there to make it look like the public is not happy with what Trump is doing. Because people are showing, oh, these people are paid. They have the receipts. There's the people that are getting kicked out. These are like Democratic donors. One of the guys ran for city council as a Democrat. Like, these are not real Republicans.
That's very deceptive.
But that's what they do.
But that's a shame.
Because then it gives
That's a
them
shame.
because then what it does is it gives them that talking point to go on CNN and say these town halls, people are not happy with Trump. That's what gives the views
but
those
that's
talking
the thing.
points.
Like the only ones that they're actually the people who know the games, which is most at this point, aren't falling for it. Like they're not gonna just be like, wait a minute, wow, really? They're gonna be like, something ain't right here.
Yeah.
Like, because it doesn't seem that way,
And that's why they're completely imploding. That's why their approval rating is so low, lowest it's ever been. A record-breaking low, because people are seeing through the BS. They're like, wait, y'all are telling me that everybody is upset with what Doge is doing? I want to know what the government is doing with our money.
Yeah.
Y'all are telling me that everyone's upset with these deportations? I'm tired of these Bro, they just had a judge try to overthrow the fact that Trump sent Tren de Aragua gang members, criminals, to El Salvador. Did you hear about this? The federal judge that tried to overturn that decision?
No.
And then ruled that they need to turn the plane around. The plane had already left. And it was funny because Bukele tweeted out after the judge made that announcement. Bukele tweeted out too late because he offered to take all the criminals from Trump. He said, "I'll take them.
Yeah.
Send them here.
Yeah.
I'll take them." So we got corrupt federal judges that are trying to stop what the people like. How can you really advocate for not sending criminals that don't belong here?
I mean, it becomes so obvious after a while, right?
Yeah.
And I think I wanted to read this. This is something that I think we gotta realize, because there's people who don't, no matter what, they're gonna turn away. They don't want to see it, because you gotta think, like, does your desire for what you want, like, does that outweigh the greater good?
Yeah.
And what is actually the greater good? Because all these people who talk about love, does your desire for seeing people get theirs, which really it's get theirs, why? Because they don't agree like you would. Not that they're doing anything to anybody, not that they're breaking any laws, but they don't agree like you.
Yeah.
So you want them to get theirs in a bad way. Like, some of these people really want Trump dead.
They
really
do.
want
yeah.
really
They
want
do.
Elon Musk dead.
There's a lot of people that are calling for it.
Yeah.
Well, before you say something, Jake, my brother was talking with me on the phone, FaceTiming, and the guy that was taking my mother to the doctor's office, he was Cuban. So Henry starts to say to him, "Oh yeah, so all the people that are legal now, they were illegal, but then they got their citizenship, like Simone."
Yeah.
He said, "Trump is sending them all back." I said, "Henry, why would you say something like that? That's a lie from the news media. You're listening to the news."
Yeah.
Because they're trying to portray him as a horrible person.
Well, the news isn't even saying that. That
that's
is
what he
just
said.
straight up. That is just straight up, just totally.
That's some internet
you made that up.
conspiracy
Yeah.
stuff
that's why I
that is
was
going
like,
around.
that's
Because you have
The
you are
news
hearing
is-
people say that on the internet. You're
Yeah.
hearing people say they're doing it to citizens. They're doing it to black
Yeah.
people.
Right.
Like, you're hearing that
Right.
on the internet. It's not true, obviously.
Let me give a shout out to Papa Jeff real quick. He chimed in. He said, "Watching you guys from Houston with Moon's boss." Shout out to Pops.
Hey.
Appreciate you. Hey, Moon's boss. Come on. He's not here because he's working. So, no, we're just joking. And then Denver Walling said conservative. I don't know. Is he referring to what we were talking about being Republican?
Yeah, bro.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to read this. This is in John 3. John 3:19, it says, "And this is the judgment. The light has come into the world, and people love the darkness rather than the light because their works were evil.
Yeah.
For everyone who does wicked things hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his works should be exposed. But whoever does what is true comes to the light, so that they may be clearly seen that his works have been carried out in God." So one who truly comes to the light of God comes to the truth so that he can be corrected, so that he can actually be walking in the truth, because that's how we're going to thrive.
Right.
If you're doing the thing, it's not about doing what's right. It's about doing what's true, right? It's about life. So the more we walk in truth, the more we're going to thrive as a community. And so many people, they just want to be right. And they want to prove that they're right. And you don't need light for that. You know, you actually, it's not about, they want to validate themselves. They want to validate their feelings. So they're actually walking in darkness, because righteousness is not about being right. Righteousness is how to be responsible for other people, how to love people, how to bring about life in the realms you live, right? How to cultivate the best way or best environment for people to thrive in. That's what it's about. So you see the opposite of that, right? You see the hate. People talking about love, but you see the hate when you're not loving the way they want you to love.
Right.
That's not real love. Love hopes all things, believes all things, endures all things. Love considers all situations. Love is patient. So love is going to see that you don't get it, that you don't understand. And it's going to be patient with you and then continue to talk to you. But fake love can't tolerate your intolerance for a lie, right?
Yeah.
Fake love wants to prove itself, right? Because it's not actually love. But real love doesn't have to prove itself. Real love doesn't seek its own,
Right.
you know? So, and we have to learn this as believers. It's not like we got this figured out. We're learning this. So every frustration with everybody who acts in that way, we learn how to love them. We learn how to deal with these situations. And that, I think that's what's going on with this. You're seeing, like you said, Jamie, earlier, where you were like, you know, you weren't even paying attention to Trump. You're like, this is some, like when Trump was running, you're looking at it like this is a joke, right?
Because to me, when I first, all I knew of Trump was the ridiculous antics from The Apprentice, right? So to me, Trump was this goofy guy, like, you're fired. Like, that show was ridiculous to me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and I was still kind of under that spell of, you know, people are attacking Obama because they're racist, because they can't stand having a black president. So, and I knew that Trump was one of the ones leading that movement against, like, his birth certificate and all that stuff. So I was still kind of under that spell. So like a little bit of that trigger was still in my mind. Like, oh, this guy's ridiculous. You know, he's not serious. He's not a serious person. You know, why would people actually vote for him? You know, I was like, that's how I thought when I saw him come down that escalator. I was like, yo, this is the dumbest thing I ever seen. Yeah. So I didn't even. At that point I was still very surface minded. So that's why I still have empathy for a lot of people that think that way now. You know.
And also, I think you're kind of like, in terms of government, checked out in terms of like, nothing ever really is going to be good.
Right.
Like,
nothing changes. Your vote doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like, you vote, but it's like the thing you do.
Right.
Like, that's why people can be like, well, he's black, you know, and we're going to vote for this black guy. It doesn't really matter.
It gave you something to at least grab onto,
or look towards. Like,
it gave you something, like some sense of purpose in voting.
Yeah,
that
it's
you
like
never
a
had
very
before.
Very
surface,
or even a very surface,
which is what they use now to this day. They still try to give you that very surface thing to grab onto. They tried it with Kamala, you know. They tried it with Hillary. It's a woman, you know.
But you know it's fake because you're really not taking any real responsibility. Right. And because I remember during that time, I never voted for Obama, never voted, but that's just because of, and I didn't, like, did I ever fault y'all for voting? Like,
No.
did I ever get on y'all for voting for Obama? No, but that's, for me, that was just a conviction that God gave me. And I just walked out. I didn't tell people I was voting, you know, it was never a thing for me. But
you told me, but.
Yeah. But I wasn't going around, you know. But with Trump, I knew there was something happening. Like, I felt like God was like kind of like pay attention to this. Right?
Yeah.
And I remember there were a lot of things that came out at that time, like documentaries and, you know, like you said, we were like finding all this stuff out. We're like how the underbelly stuff with the country and Freemasonry and we were seeing all this stuff,
Skull and
like
Bones,
a
like
lot of and even a lot of the corporate stuff and how it's connected to the government, the food situation,
fiat currency. I knew nothing about fiat currency, and then I started like finding these documentaries on YouTube about how we gave all our gold up and our money is back by nothing. And I was like, yo, what?
So I remember like I was like crying out to God, like, Lord, there's no hope.
Right.
There's nothing.
Right.
Everything's controlled.
Right.
And everything looks like it wants to kill us. Like everything
Our
seems
food,
like it has like only, and I'm like looking like, is there any way, like in my mind, I'm trying to think, is there any way around? Like, how can we overcome this stuff?
Yeah.
And I'm like, literally that's the thought. And the prayer was, without you, it's impossible. I don't know. I don't even know how. I don't know what. So I'm like, I give it to you. You know, I remember doing that. And I think even in that, it's like you can't even take a responsibility until you give him over responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, you got to you got to recognize like, yeah, you're actually helpless in this thing. But we can turn that around and think like, there's no point. And that's where we go wrong.
Yeah.
Because now we just think like we just quit, right? I'm not even gonna even do anything because, and and I don't even fault people for that.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get caught up in that mindset, and then you're there and you like don't even realize that you're prideful in it.
Right.
You know, now people are prideful. Like, man.
You can look at people. You can look at people as foolish for even trying.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then you see those polls, right?
Yeah.
So now, you're like, well, why? People are starting to think, well, there's hope for this country. Why is it going up? Before it seemed like this country is on the wrong track.
Yeah,
there's no hope. You know, but I believe like that's what the light of God does for us. The light of God is light, but also God is love. Right? So the light of God is connected to the love of God, right? God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. That's before it talks about the light that shines, right?
Right.
And he talks about that the light is what comes into the world to judge you. But you're only condemned if you don't believe in the one who loved you and sent his son.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because there's a hope there, but if you don't have that, you just think things are pointless, and then you become prideful because you know a bunch of stuff. You know, what do you think about this? What do you think about? And that's what we do, right?
Right.
We know all these things, and that's kind of like, did you hear about the Masons? Did you hear about this? You know, did you hear about this?
Yeah.
They're trying to attack us, and people know all these things that happen in history, but what they don't know is the love of God that surpasses all knowledge. The love of God that literally surpasses all knowledge. And when we start trusting in that, that's the light that starts to shine on people and awaken people to a hope that they didn't have anymore. Because the more you start to trust in that, the more you start doing in that, right?
Yeah.
And people start doing in that. And then people from that doing, people start seeing like, wait a minute, do they actually care? Are they actually not a phony?
Yeah.
You know, is this one actually trying to do something? You know, that's what you start to see. And that gives people a hope.
And I think even in the past, when you did find someone, because I think like there have been people who have gotten through to Congress that have cared, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the Rand Pauls, the Ron Pauls, even like certain people like Matt Gaetz and Thomas Massie, these people that like you could tell really care about the direction of this country. But there's so many hurdles in front of them that you can, it even felt hopeless in that. It was like, yo, they can never get any of their points across. So all they can do is try to like get in front of people and talk and let them know what's going on.
Yeah.
But then when you have someone that can get to the office of president and bypass all of that political nonsense, because you couldn't even get into the game unless you worked your way up through the House, the Senate, you know what I mean? And then maybe you're leading one of these committees, and then you get a cabinet position, and someone's, you know, and then you're a candidate for president. And so it's like by that time, you're so beaten into shape that you're just a part of the machine again, you know? So when it took for someone who could bypass all of that, who wasn't a part of one of the clubs, who wasn't a part of one of these secret societies, didn't have his allegiance pled to one of these groups, to come in and be able to at least try and bring that hope back for people like, you know, the other people in Congress. Now you look at the Tulsi Gabbards and the RFKs and you know, some of these people that.
But when you see how it all lines up, at a certain time, everything has to be lining up at the right time.
Bro, we even said this, like, it would not be what it is now with how much is being done and like even the momentum that is there now if Trump didn't lose in 2020.
Yeah. Can I say something?
Yes.
Also, I really believe that God's people have been getting together and praying more because, you know, that scripture, and I have to say it because God keeps embedding that scripture in my heart, you know. So I'm going to say the scripture verse. It's 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal the land. And I really believe that God's people have been seeking him and praying more. And that's why things are also changing.
Absolutely. And I feel like you don't just see it politically. I'm seeing it in culture. I'm seeing it in even like the man space on YouTube. You know, we had this 4 years of like the red pill manosphere kind of thing, and I feel like that was men in the wilderness a little bit.
It's the reaction, and these reactions are always, they go too far,
right?
They go too extreme.
You have to have those extremes so that everything can settle again.
Yeah, because it's like you go to that extreme and you're like, hold up, wait, we went too far.
Yeah.
You know? Because that's not it.
Right.
You know, those things, when we do that, you see the extreme feminism thing, right? We saw that. Then we see the reaction to that. And none of that ever works. Just like in a marriage. Like, if you are just pointing out what your wife did, even if she's wrong, like, you're not going to get anywhere. Somebody's got to say, I'm going to take responsibility. And you take responsibility by loving people past all their flaws, not by pointing out their flaws. Right? Not by, you can say, yeah, these things are there, right? You can say, you can acknowledge them. I'm not saying you don't acknowledge them, but you don't point them out and blame people. You know, you take away the pointing of your finger.
Right.
You start and you take responsibility. And then if you think about it, like, you get all worked up because you pointing the finger. You actually have more peace when you realize, like, all right, God, with you, all things are possible. You know, with you, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Oh, that's verses I used to quote in pride, trying to prove myself. Now I realize, oh, in loving people, I can do all things. So that means I got to see them differently. I can't point the finger. I got to take away my finger pointing, right?
Yep.
That's really how I should use that, not in trying to prove myself. You know, and you hear all those, how many sermons, you know, they talking about you, but in 2026, all those who've been talking about you, they going down.
Right. God's going to show them who you are.
It's always like this thing that never happens.
Right.
Because that's not God's heart.
Right.
God loves all people.
Right.
And to take responsibility is to learn to take account. And you can't take account when you're not seeing it. And you're not seeing it because you're so focused on blaming people, you know? And that's what we've been doing in this country.
Yeah.
It's been the blame game.
Right. Facts. Okay, so let's play a couple more clips of just this topic. I want to show, just for the audience sake, kind of the moment where AOC was on with Jake Tapper talking about how she kind of went against Chuck Schumer and how like people are trying to push her as the leader. I'll just play this real quick.
The Senate Democratic leader, your senator, said at this meeting that he is going to vote for cloture. He is going to vote to allow there to be a simple majority vote. You think that's wrong?
I believe that's a tremendous mistake. Yes.
Why?
I think, well, first and foremost, the American people, if anyone has held a town hall or has seen what has been happening in town halls, American people, whether they are Republicans,
you see what I'm saying? You see how she pointed to the town halls?
Yep.
Again, a fake narrative that she can then point to on CNN to try to make her point with.
Democrats are up in arms about Elon Musk and the actual gutting of federal agencies across the board. This continuing resolution codifies much of this chaos that Elon Musk is wreaking havoc on the federal government. It codifies many of those changes. It sacrifices and completely eliminates congressional authority in order to review these impulsive Trump tariffs that he's switching on and off. And on top of that, for folks who are concerned about effectiveness in government, this Republican extreme spending bill removes all of the guardrails and all of the accountability measures to ensure that money is being spent in the way that Congress has directed for it to be spent. This turns the federal government into a slush fund for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. It sacrifices congressional authority, and it is deeply partisan. And so to me, it is almost unthinkable why Senate Democrats would vote to hand the few pieces of leverage that we have away for free when we've been sent here to protect Social Security, protect Medicaid, and protect Medicare.
And that's been the narrative. So they want leverage. They just don't want to give Trump a win. That's the whole point. Because the narrative they keep spinning, you hear her saying like it opens up a slush fund for Trump and Elon Musk, which is totally not true. It's pretty much the same spending bill that they passed a few months ago. The same, it opens up the same amount of spending that they were totally for back then. But now that Trump's in office, they have to be against it. And the reason why she wants to not let the vote go through is because then they can blame Republicans for it. But the problem is when people, because they've been saying that Trump is going to cut their Medicaid, cut their Social Security. None of that. Because it's just a talking point. They know that it's not true. They know that no one has missed a Social Security payment. Have you missed a Social Security payment? No one has missed their Medicaid. But if they shut down the government, that will happen.
Yeah.
Because none of that can happen. So now people are really going to be mad. So, and who's that going to fall on? It's going to fall on the Democrats, which is why Chuck Schumer actually smartly said we can't let that happen. But they are so emotional and can't let Trump get anything that they're just mad that Chuck Schumer let him get that bill passed. You know?
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with a boy.
Okay.
And a kid about being overly emotional
and
how irresponsible that is, and you're being selfish.
Yeah.
And it just brings me back to that conversation.
Yeah.
And this is a 10-year-old boy,
right?
You know, that I'm talking to. But
we got people that are supposed to be our legislators.
Yeah, and they're more manipulative than a 10-year-old boy.
Right.
But they're still using that manipulation, but at the core, they're still a child in terms of the desires.
Well, they're fighting for their lives. They know that everything is coming down on them, and they're fighting for their lives. So they're lying about everything. They're doing everything they can to just stop it, but they can't.
The truth is that they're projecting the reality of what they're afraid of because their slush fund is being cut off.
Exactly.
They are also worried about what is going to be uncovered by Doge. Doge is supposed to be in action until 2026, July 4th, 2026. They're worried about what's going to be uncovered. They're worried about what's going to be exposed about what they've been up to in Congress. How is AOC net worth over 20 million? How is that possible?
Yeah.
You know? But I want to play this clip of Don Lemon on Bill Maher's podcast talking about Did you see this?
I didn't see it. I heard about it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Let me ask you your opinion on this. Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary show. They did one thing, they did a sketch where Tom Hanks puts on a MAGA hat, so he's a Trumper, and then Keenan comes over to shake his hand, and he won't shake his hand.
Yeah.
And I said this on Fareed's show the other day. I found that's so old. You know, I didn't vote for him. I get all the bad things about that administration.
Wait, who's the Trumper?
But if you think they don't shake black people,
Who's a Trumper? What are you talking about?
Who were they saying was a Trumper?
They had Tom Hanks playing a Trumper. He had a MAGA hat on in the skit.
Okay, I was about to say Tom Hanks ain't a Trumper.
Yeah, no, in the skit he was a Trumper.
Those hands. It's just.
But he refused to shake the black guy's hand in the skit. You know, because all Trumpers are racist, of course. In the narrative, only white people are Trump supporters, racist white people. So he's basically saying, like, this is so juvenile, and he's asking Don Lemon about this. But watch his reaction.
But if you think they don't shake black people's hands, it's just you're wrong. That's not who they are. Matt Gaetz shakes black people's hands. You know, Kid Rock will shake your hand. It's just not helpful.
Exactly.
To, like,
this is
think
why
that
y'all
half
are
the country,
losing.
That's where they are. That's your
Still, you're a comedian. You know, it's part of its comedy.
I understand.
But let's be honest. There's a huge
It's only comedy, which is supposed to be funny, if it's true.
Right.
You can laugh at things that are true. Right. That we can laugh about something that's true and maybe it shouldn't be true.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's not true, it's not funny.
Or
because it doesn't connect.
Or if you are fair about your comedy across the board.
Right.
But when you're just constantly spinning one narrative, it's exhausting.
Yeah. When it's
boring.
When it's only funny to a very small amount of people just because really they just want to get at somebody.
Yeah.
Like that's the only reason why it's funny. And
Right.
It's like, okay. Like it's not gonna go over well. That's why like Saturday Night Live is kind of like nobody watches it anymore.
Right, exactly.
Of the MAGA movement that's really fucking racist.
I wouldn't say huge, no. I'd say partly.
I would say huge.
Yeah, okay. Well, we have different perspectives.
I would say huge. And even if they're not, you have to overlook a lot of that in order to support Donald Trump, which I think is maybe even more egregious than just saying I'm a racist.
It's more egregious. So he also went on, let me see if I can find a clip. He also went on this podcast to talk about the leaders of the Democratic Party.
Who, Don Lemon?
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny what Jake was talking about. What's right is wrong now. And it's funny how they just making everything seem like Trump is the bad one. It's right, but it's wrong. You know what I mean? To them. Mm-hmm. Just crazy.
Is carrying Donald Trump's water and they know that he's lying. It is the shortest line to the front. Because if you're black and you're whatever, you're just in line with a bunch of other Democrats that are doing the same thing that you're doing. But if you become a black MAGA person, it's like, whoa, let's book this person, let's put him on television.
So you don't think you can be a sincere black MAGA person?
No, I just said, I don't think that, I just said, I think there can be sincere Republicans.
But you can't be a sincere black Republican?
I don't think that you can be a rational MAGA, be black and be a rational MAGA person. I think you can be black and be a Republican.
Dude, this guy is...
He's got to think about it so hard because it doesn't make no sense.
He's crazy. Where's the clip of him
And then
talking?
when they say MAGA, make America great again. What's wrong with that?
They've tried. It's a spell to make it sound bad. Let me see. Vilmar. I don't know why I can't find this clip.
AOC. People
here we
love
go.
Jasmine Crockett. People love AOC. People love Jasmine Crockett. People love Eric Swalwell and the like. And I think that the Democratic Party should put the people out there who the people want. They should put the politicians out there who the people want, who they're asking for, who are meeting the moment with the same energy that
They're
the
not
other side
asking
is
for
giving.
AOC.
Yes, they are.
The people you party with
No,
are.
no, no. The people I party with don't like AOC.
Oh, please.
No, they don't at all.
Well, most people don't.
But
She's
AOC,
very far left.
Let me tell you why I'm saying that. Because because people will vote for AOC and Donald Trump on the same ticket. Because they're authentic. No, because they're authentic.
I don't think
Okay.
That Don.
I think you're wrong about that.
What people like about people like Trump and
That's
Fetterman
phony.
is because it's
You don't know
irrelevant to her life.
But you don't know her life.
I know that being a gorgeous woman who I wouldn't even know was Hispanic in a city that's has 1 million Hispanics and it does not treat them badly.
But that doesn't mean she doesn't struggle. That doesn't mean that she was set down.
It implies it.
But that doesn't mean that she was set down in a Hispanic ghetto in the Bronx and had to deal with that growing up, and that she's come from a working class family.
It implies that it implies that in some way she's behind the 8 ball because of that, and it's just not true. And so
I don't know if she's behind the 8 ball, but I don't think she's as privileged as many people who are in Congress right now.
What are you talking about? AOC has been handed everything in Congress. She came in with no experience, a bartender. We had a whole movement behind her by people that were funding these young Democrats. We did a whole thing about this many years ago when she first came in. What was it? What was the PAC called? Something Democrats. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a whole multi-millionaire funded PAC to get people into Congress, and it got people like Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, with AOC,
which is it was connected to the Young Turks.
Well,
right?
Cenk Uygur was one of the funders of it.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Man, it was something about changing the Democratic Party and bringing in these young, progressive, extremely left, almost socialist Democrats in to change the Democratic Party.
Yeah, the squad.
And the squad was beneficiaries of that. And as soon as she came in, she got nothing but praise. She was put up in a district where she primaried somebody. She didn't even have to run against nobody. She got like 2,000 votes and won. You know what I mean? Like, Don Lemon acting like this woman is extremely popular because her Twitter following is large, which, you know, she got a lot of that following before Elon Musk took over Twitter, which people are finding out that a lot of those numbers are inflated, especially back during that time because they were using bots to get people huge followings. But yeah, this is the same woman that pretended she didn't know what a garbage disposal was. This is the same woman. They remember when she was first running and they had her on the news and she was talking about what was going on in Israel and she called it an occupation and she couldn't answer simple, basic questions. Like, Don Lemon thinks that we should continue to put her and Jasmine Crockett as the heads of, like, this is what people are saying for the Democrats. What do you think? And my response to that is, do it. Do it.
Yeah, it just makes it worse for you.
Do it.
It just shows. It shows the hand. Like, but that's Don Lemon is literally showing that they have no. You're trying. This is like publicist type stuff.
Yeah.
This is like you're trying to figure out an angle instead of just because he's literally saying it. She's genuine. No, she's not. You don't. You don't get it. You don't get it. And people love, like, genuine is what people love.
Right.
But the thing is with genuine, which she's not.
She's not at all. She's the opposite.
The thing
genuine.
is that, like, being genuine doesn't make you smart. It doesn't make you capable.
And it doesn't make you popular all the time.
Yeah.
Like, look at John Fetterman is losing a lot of popularity because he's saying a lot of things that people don't want to hear now.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's funny how when he had no brain faculties, he was more popular.
Yeah. But that's because but he's actually winning some people on the right.
On the right side.
Because
But I'm saying in his party. Yeah.
But that's the thing. The party, the left doesn't want genuine.
Yeah.
They want people that are for their ideology.
Yes.
There's an ideology on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And people like Don Lemon, he's just playing to that ideology. So he doesn't care about the ideology. All he cares about is his own self and trying to make money off of it.
Right.
You know, you see it because he wouldn't talk like that if he did.
Yeah, he's trying to keep himself relevant. It's just funny to see Bill Maher being the voice of reason in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the voice of reason in a lot of conversations, which is funny.
It's interesting. Again, we're watching people that have at least some kind of IQ and intelligence to try to see things logically, even though he does have TDS, and he admits it.
Yeah.
You know, but he just can't get past that, but he still has to look at things rationally. So Chuck Schumer was on a book tour because he was putting out a book, right? But he had to cancel all of his book tour stops because of the backlash of him voting for this bill. Because that's how the left is now. You know, the right is always the one that we're talking about genuineness, right? AOC, white men are the biggest problem in the country. They are the ones the most prone to violence. She'll constantly get on out there and spew that nonsense, but she's married to a white man, you know. The right is the most violent. Jasmine Crockett will get out there and say that the most violence we have to worry about is white supremacy, but Chuck Schumer can't even do his book tour anymore because he voted in alignment with Trump. So he was on The View trying to make his case in a pretty non-hostile environment. They did hold his feet to the fire a little bit. What's her name asked him about who are the leaders in the Democratic Party and why would you vote for Trump. He tried to make this statement about how Trump is trying to everything Trump is doing is try to save the rich people money. Like that's his. But the way it came across was so out of touch. You gotta watch this clip because he's getting dragged for this right now.
And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, the land and water that I own, or my employees? They hate government.
Let's go to commercial.
It's a barrier to people.
They hate government. No, bro. So he's trying to tell everybody that no, we should be taking your money. We need to keep taking your money.
But he's trying to say it to the rich.
Yeah.
About the rich, you know?
Right. But there's so many people that own businesses that aren't rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
That are like, no, you guys take way too much of my money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't understand how that's coming across.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, Trump is out here talking about eliminating income tax. Like, and you're out here arguing for the fact that, no, we need to keep taxing y'all.
Yeah. It doesn't even, like, if you can do things in a different way, and we're so caught up in, like, we have to pay taxes, it's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not even looking at it. So they're like, tax the rich.
Yep.
Instead of looking at it from a whole nother angle, you know? Because it doesn't work to tax the rich. They're just going to go somewhere else.
They
got the money to do it.
They're going to move their companies. To move their money around. They've done it every time.
This is what, like, when you see what he's doing, you know, Honda's moving to the U.S.
Yeah.
Manufacturing is
in
moving
Ohio.
back to manufacturing is moving back to the U.S. Like, you see the shift. Why? Because you're making it, you're giving companies opportunities, right?
Talking about them tariffs he was putting on Canada, and then the PM of Canada comes out and says, "Oh, well, we're going to shut off electricity to all of the northern, all the parts of New York that we supply electricity." And then Trump responds to that. He was like, "Wait a minute, why are we getting our electricity from Canada in the first place?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, and I thought the same thing. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, why are we relying on Canada
at all
to supply us with electricity?
Yep.
That is insane.
But see how it came out?
That's what I'm saying. So we need to be independent.
Yeah. Not only that, like, why are we relying on China for pharmaceutical stuff?
Right. Doesn't make any sense.
Like, we are or even like metals.
For steel.
Yeah. Like, any place where we have to be reliant to even Taiwan, right?
Yeah.
This is a problem. And we've seen this happen. We've seen it with COVID.
Yeah.
Right? With the whole chips and
pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, pharmaceuticals, the car industry.
Yeah.
Like we see how these things affect us. So how can we change we saw these problems come up? All right, let's fix them. These aren't rocket science things, you know what I mean, that we can't, it's too complicated to fix. They want to make it too complicated to fix.
And all of this stuff happened because of decisions that were made in the past, going all the way back to the 90s, especially under Bill Clinton, because I kept hearing Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club talking about how like Bill Clinton cut all of these federal jobs in the 1990s, which put the U.S. at a surplus. But what you're not accounting for is all of the manufacturing jobs that were pushed overseas because of NAFTA. So the reason why we were at a surplus is because these companies were making so much more profit because they moved all their manufacturing. So there was a lot of jobs lost too.
Yeah.
And we became reliant on their economies.
Yep. And we want to talk about slave labor.
Yeah.
But you don't want to deal with the situation. You know? Okay, how do we fix these things? You can't give them the opportunity to do it. You're giving a country an opportunity to do something and then we want to talk about how it's not fair over here.
Right.
How there's oppression over here.
Yeah.
But you don't care about
care about
it doesn't
Yeah.
we're not looking at the whole scope. We're not looking at the whole picture.
Because your Honda Civic cost $19,000 in 2001, but that's because there was slave labor going on.
Yeah. And a lot of the stuff, like when you look at Bush, first Bush, when you look at especially with Bill Clinton, even some of the Ronald Reagan stuff,
Yeah.
they some of that stuff they were quick fixes. They were Band-Aids. Yeah. Band-Aids. But we gotta look, okay, how can we fix these issues and make us stronger? That has to do with foundational things, right? We have to go back to foundations. The house is only as strong as its foundation, right?
Yep.
So we got to go back to those things. And even in terms of this country and the Constitution, we got to go back to those foundational things. And we've gotten away from that. That's why we got hate speech, all these things. This dumb stuff. Why you laugh about that? You got something?
No. I'm just thinking about just that whole concept of hate speech.
But again, it's because hate speech, how does that come about? Because people don't want their feelings hurt because of bullying, right? Like, if you think about it, there was a situation with my son. One of the kids on his team was saying stuff, like mean stuff to him, and kind of like just not being kind of mean. And it's funny because my wife was like, I'm gonna say something, or I need to say something.
Yeah.
And so I would talk to Lucas like, dude, you got to tell him, like, don't talk to me like that. And, just basically like lay down the rules. And you're going to get some backlash. So he did that. And then the kid was like, I don't like you,
Yeah.
But he just stood his ground. And then the kid realized that he had to treat him a certain way, right? And he was like, because Lucas wasn't doing exactly what he wanted him to do, the kid was feeling, you're not my friend, and he was getting into his feelings.
Yeah.
And Lucas was like, no, you're still my friend. I'm not going to do what you want me to do.
Right.
And then he's calling him names and, and just teaching him how to deal with that instead of me jumping in and saying something to his dad, like, no, he's got to figure out how to
learn how to deal with that.
Deal with that. And then now it's like, we're against bullying. No, you teach your kids when they have to suffer through things and they got to deal with it. When they overcome it, right? You learn a valuable lesson.
Right.
You learn how to overcome adversity.
Because the world is not going to be protected for you.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to get out there and face reality at some point.
Yeah. How many movies did we grow up seeing? Like, you know,
Yeah, where there's bullying
and somebody steps in. And
right.
they got theirs,
Yeah,
you know, and you
yeah.
feel that.
Yeah.
And so then people want to relive those
Yeah,
movies, you
yeah.
know, but they're wrong. People have to learn how to stand up for themselves in a loving way.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you gotta he's wrong, but you can't go against him like he's horrible. You don't know what he deals with. You don't know how he's, you know, why he thinks the way he does and what happened to him. You know, he's got older brothers. I was just telling him, like, you got to see his side too from this. And when he sees that, he's like, okay, like, I don't even got to say it. I see him go and handle it, right? And I'm like, okay. And then he comes back, gives me feedback, and then I tell him, right? But you see how he starts to get it for himself.
So what you're doing is you're giving him advice on how to handle it, but you're not doing it for him.
I'm not doing it for him,
right?
And it takes time to learn, right? But and I saw this thing. It was like one of these memes, and it was like one of them. The mom is like taking the kid over the river, right? And then she's fixing like this bridge, right? So he can walk over. And then like it's like all, and then she's like climbing the mountain and then lifting him up, right?
Yeah.
You see, but then the dad is like showing the kid how to do it and leading him in doing it. And then the next part and the next part. And it's not to get on women, but women.
No, but that's why fathers are important.
Yeah, fathers are important because that's one of our primary jobs is to lead kids into growing up.
Yeah.
And women are more like caring in a way where empathetic, right?
Right.
Where
I don't want you to face any hardships.
Right.
Yeah.
So they always want to
protect you.
Keep that away from you. But men have to be like, no, they have to learn these things.
Right.
You know.
That's why the dynamic is important.
Yeah. And like the same thing with the situation I just said with me and my wife.
Yeah.
She feels like she's mad.
Yeah.
She want, you know,
Right.
but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but he's got to learn.
Right.
You know. And of course, like she's like, yeah, you're right. And then you see how he just learns and he gets over it. He's not upset anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he learned. But you don't want your kid to be upset. I don't want my kid to be upset.
And you don't want your kid to be bullied. You don't want your kid to be made fun of. It. All of that stuff hurts you and it bothers you, but you can't move out of that emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this country, we've been doing that.
Yeah.
We've been making laws so people don't hurt other people
Right.
in an emotional way instead of teaching people that you can overcome all these things. Right. That's more valuable. It's actually more valuable to realize that you can't keep me down because of those things.
Right.
This used to be like just basic, obvious stuff. So where now we've lost.
I was thinking about this earlier today because I was watching this other channel and they were debating we were talking about earlier, this whole red pill space. And one of the things that the manosphere red pill movement has touched on a lot is brought a light to is the child support system in the courts and how like one-sided it is, right?
Yeah.
And how it's like pretty much turned into a racket now where these lawyers and these judges and even like these states know that it's like, because they actually get a cut, right? So they're incentivized to create these crazy child support cases for these men, you know, which, and so they were trying to shed light to that and show how like there's feminist groups that protest against that because they don't want men to be able to have rights in those situations. They like the women in those situations like being able to, you know, have the power in those situations.
Right.
But what is that? That is a result of trying to legislate morality. Going back to what you're talking about, like you can't legislate morality into people because that comes from a system of men not handling their responsibility,
Right.
a culture of men being able to just get women pregnant and leave and not being accountable at all. So then you have these people in government that are like, okay, well, these feminists are lobbying for these type of things and we can make money off of this. So let's push this legislation through so that we can, and we as protecting women, protecting mothers, which it might have, and women, the incentive for women is to protect these people, and it might have a good intention behind it. But what does it turn into?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's the same thing. It's bad care in a sense. It's bad caring for people.
Right.
And you think you're doing the right thing, but you're not, because you're not getting to the root of the cause.
Exactly.
You're not getting to the root of the issue.
Right.
And a lot of times that's what happens. We don't get to the root. And you don't get to the root by caring for people in the way you want to care for them. Right. It's funny. I was talking to my wife about this. Like, people, we have dynamics where in our family, like, there's houses that you can go to and get away with certain things. But then you'll have those same people come to our house and they know not to come with those same things, right? So they know, because of the way we are in our house,
right?
They
The
can't
standard
bring
is
those
different.
things,
Yeah.
right? I don't have to say anything. It just they already know. You know what I'm saying? But then in another house, they can do whatever they want. Not exactly whatever they want, but they know I can come here and do this. So then after a while, you see there's a chaos, right? So even from that, you learn, right? After a while, you learn, well, oh, it's this way here because you hold a standard. And it's the same thing I was saying with my son. Once he learns, like, no, I'm not going to let you talk to me that way, in terms of I don't care. Like, okay, you don't want to be my friend. Cool.
Right.
I'll be your friend, but I'm not going to do what you want because you don't want to be my friend.
Yeah.
If you hold that standard, like, no, you can't have this in here. I'm not letting you bring that stuff in here. I love you, but you can't do that here. This is the way we run our house.
Right.
So then there becomes that respect and that honor, right? And now you're creating value, right? Because eventually you start to see the value in it, but you got to be consistent.
Right.
And if everybody is just trying to please everybody and prove themselves, no, but I love you. Like, it's like how a lot of single mothers have done with their sons, where, no, but I love you, and I'm gonna prove that I love you, and I'm gonna buy you everything that you want. And then their sons don't respect their mothers and talk to them like trash, and then treat women when they get older like trash, and then you create these cycles of single mothers and selfish fathers, right? That are actually just, they never grew up as men.
Yeah.
They never knew, they never took on that responsibility because they don't have a standard,
Yeah.
So it's a cycle that we create.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And speaking of the cycle, I want to go into a little bit of what's been going on with this new version of TDS. I'm calling it TDS, but it's not Trump derangement syndrome. It's Tesla derangement syndrome.
It's Elon.
Yeah. EDS.
EDS.
EDS or TDS, Tesla derangement syndrome, which is crazy because did you see the footage of how SpaceX just rescued those astronauts that the government left there for months?
Yes.
Like, that just happened today.
Wow.
9 months, right?
They were there for they were supposed to be there for 8 days or something. And they were stuck up there for 9 months.
Wow.
And Biden, he refused to get them because I forget what it was. Like, he didn't want to do it until after he won the election. Oh, no, not Biden, Kamala.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, after Kamala won the election. So, but then it didn't happen. So then they didn't care about it anymore. So, they were just stuck. So Elon sent a ship up there and saved them today. But, the liberals have been very upset with Doge, and anyone driving a Tesla is fair game. I just want to play this quick clip from someone at a protest, and so you can see just some of the sentiment that's going on the left, some of the stuff that we're dealing with here.
Get this man out of here now. But if that doesn't happen, and we're not promoting it for 1 second, but if that doesn't happen, there will be violence. Yes. And these people had the opportunity to stop it. And they didn't.
That's not free speech. Right? That's not free speech.
That's not free speech.
Yeah, that's...
You're threatening violence.
You're inciting.
And she's saying, just because you say we don't condone it,
yeah,
you're saying there will be violence.
Yeah.
And saying it's on them because they had the opportunity to stop it.
Yeah.
So we need to get this guy out of here or there will be violence. Wow. Like, what do you... He just got elected. What do y'all want to do? What are you asking for? Mm-hmm. It's very strange. Yeah, so, you know, and then there's been so many clips. Look at this dude. And the funny thing is, like, these people that, you know, that a lot of lefties bought Teslas because they're green vehicles at the end of the day. Like, Elon was the hero of the left a few years ago because he was the number 1 electric vehicle in the world, right? So let's look at this video.
It's a white Tesla. No. This is what happened to my car, y'all. Look at this. Look at this. Y'all see this? Clown American. I don't know what this is. Is this paint?
Yeah, and there's so many clips, people setting them on fire.
There's a fleet of Cybertrucks right now. Unbelievable. Seattle fire on the scene.
So the first one looked like it might have been in like LA or Southern California somewhere.
Yeah.
This one is in Seattle.
Yep.
This is all the leftists, you know.
These are all Kamala voters.
Wow.
Wow, that's funny. My cousin lives in Seattle, Jamie, the one you met.
Yeah. Someone set a bunch of charging stations on fire. Tesla dealership smashed out all the windows.
Horrible, man.
But then
vandalizing, burnt them down.
Amazing. But then J6, when he said go peacefully, they gonna make a big issue and saying that he, you know.
I mean, even before January 6th, that whole summer, 2020 summer, what Seattle, all of it. Like, come on. But we don't look at any of those things. We don't talk about Bruno.
Mean-spirited.
Look at this. Check this out. Like, and this is the funny thing is people don't realize that all of these cars have cameras all over the place.
This woman is about to key a Tesla. Mean-spirited acts of vandalism are happening across the USA to Tesla owners, and they're all caught on security cameras, which are equipped on Teslas. Total damage, $1,500. Once is not enough for this woman who keys a Tesla twice. This granny repeatedly keys a car in a parking lot in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Getting it repaired won't be cheap, says owner Amanda Abbott.
Right now, the estimate is at $7,650.
This guy rams a shopping cart into a Tesla. This driver swerves at full speed, aiming for the Tesla. And this motorcyclist yanks off a Tesla mirror. Vlad Fayer, owner of Brooklyn Motors, which specializes in Teslas, says those security cameras are a huge help in tracking down the vandals.
So you have a camera on each fender right here and right here, which will record.
Yeah, so, you know, this is going on all over the country. And it is expensive. Remember, we were just talking about our neighbor at our office got all his tires slashed, and one tire is $1,200.
That's because of the weight of the batteries.
Yeah.
Because my Honda, I found out.
Oh, it's more expensive for the tires?
Not $1,200.
Yeah.
But they were expensive, though.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Like, hold on. Pull this up again, Mom, for me. I'm just going to go through a little bit of these because I have a whole, like, just list of them. Just people keying cars, just so much vandalism.
Yeah, a lot of love in that.
Yep. This guy right here. It's funny because this guy, the footage of him destroying this Tesla, keying this Tesla, got out, and then someone found him because his license plate was in the video. Someone found him. Watch the reaction.
Tesla the other day.
What?
You're on video. Yeah. This is the guy. You just keyed a Tesla. You got a video online. I just saw it. It's all over.
And he's wearing a USA jacket.
Yeah, the media. Yes, you did. You keyed a Tesla in a parking lot somewhere around here. What do you got to say about that?
I didn't do that.
It's crazy because he's literally wearing the same jacket. It's the same guy.
I didn't do that.
I didn't do that.
People, man. They can't even confess. Yeah.
Bro, like, you have to be some level of deranged.
Dude. And he's like, what? He got to be at the 70s.
Minimum 70-something.
Yeah, what
Well,
kind of...
you're on video. I said, I plainly saw you doing it. You pulled up right next to it, and then you keyed it. Oh, shit. You want to bet?
Boomers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, they got your license plate. I'm surprised you haven't been contacted by the police yet. I mean, what do you have to say? I mean, I saw you do it. I'm just curious. I mean, just because of Elon, you're wearing a USA T-shirt, driving a Korean car. Why would you key an American car? The guy's probably a Democrat that owns it. I think it's a woman. I mean, I'm just curious why you did that. You just don't have anything to say about that?
Nothing to say.
You guys do?
It's
because it's just emotional.
You're
handicapped
handicapped too. I mean, this is just kind of ridiculous.
Sad.
Look, there's a woman in the car with him too.
Well, good luck to you, sir. Hope you learned a lesson.
It's funny because, like, his license plate's in the original video, but the police did nothing about it, of course, right? Like,
California, though.
Yep. Yep.
You're not going to see this everywhere, but
You're
it's going to
not.
be in certain areas more than others.
And it's crazy because it's like, what did Elon do that is so bad that, I mean, you were literally just being brought to emotion because of what the news is telling you. Like,
Doing something good, and they're so dumb they think it's bad.
he's exposing all of the fraud in the government. Let me play this clip of Elon on Joe Rogan, just so you can see like what he's trying to talk about and tell people about.
The whole NGO thing is a nightmare, and it's a misnomer.
You know what NGOs are, right? NGO stands for non-government organization. They're basically nonprofits. They're non-government organizations, but the government funds them. So they're basically, you know, government organizations.
Because if you have a government-funded non-governmental organization, you're simply a government-funded organization. It's an oxymoron.
Right. It's a loophole.
Yes. It basically, the government-funded NGOs are a way to do things that would be illegal if they were the government, but are somehow made legal if it's sent to a so-called nonprofit. But these nonprofits are then used to, people cash out these nonprofits. They become very wealthy through nonprofits. They pay themselves enormous sums through these nonprofits.
It's so insane that that's been going on for so long.
It's a gigantic scam, like one of the biggest, maybe the biggest scam ever.
And how many NGOs?
I think there's a total number of NGOs, probably millions, but in terms of large NGOs, tens of thousands. I mean, it's actually kind of a hack to the system, where someone can get an NGO stood up for a fairly small amount of money. Like George Soros was really good at this. Like George Soros is like a system hacker. Like he figured out how to hack the system. He's a genius at arbitrage. I mean, these days he's pretty old, but a genius at arbitrage. So he figured out that you could leverage a small amount of money to create a nonprofit, then lobby the politicians to send a ton of money to that nonprofit, so you can take what might be, a $10 million donation to a nonprofit to create a nonprofit and leverage that into a $1 billion NGO. A nonprofit is a weird word. It's just a non-governmental organization, and then the government continues to fund that every year, and it'll have a nice sounding name like the Institute for Peace or something like that. But really, it's a graft machine.
It's a spell. It's a scam, and like this is if you go back and watch this interview, he's exposing stuff like this, and again, right after this is when all those people started showing up to these Republican town halls, and who do you think is funding?
George Soros.
Who did he call out in that clip? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's who's funding the people that are showing up to these places to protest him. That's who is, lobbying these politicians to try to, they're trying to demonize him into some like guy who is hell-bent on stealing people's money.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, we got to look at, it's George Soros. Like, are we looking at, that's the billionaire we need to be looking at.
Right.
And
they never had a problem when that billionaire was meddling in all of our politics.
No.
They never had a problem with that.
Only because, not even on the politician side. I'm talking about just regular people. They don't care unless that's what's sad, man.
Yeah.
They don't care unless it's affecting them. Like, that's how you know you're programmed. When you think there's nothing your side can do wrong.
Yeah.
Like, we always talked about Trump, but did we ever on here not talk about the things he was doing wrong?
We always call out whatever we don't agree with that Trump does, we call out.
Yeah, because it's not like an end all to be all.
Yeah.
These are the things we agree with. These are things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Why is he doing it? We don't know why. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we talked about the vaccines. We talked about the anti-Semitism bills. We talked about I can't think of the other stuff that we mentioned on here that we were not in agreement with. But there's a lot of stuff like that he does that,
So Elon must have a lot of security around him.
Well, that's why in that same Joe Rogan interview, he was talking about how he feels like they're going to try to assassinate him. Let me play this clip of someone talking about what it was like working for Elon.
I've always liked lean teams, but my experience at X has made me change the way I think about starting that company. It would be even leaner than I would have made it before. I've been amazed with just how much the team is able to accomplish with a small group, and I think because of a small group. Shortly after the acquisition, we had this product called Spaces. It had been in the product before, but it was pretty small scale. And Elon wanted to run these large spaces. I forget who the first people he was going to bring on were, but he was going to be there. Ultimately, these things have gone on to host politicians and things like that. And
yeah, remember Trump had the biggest one with like billions of listeners.
Got to scale this up. I forget the numbers. Like, we need to be able to scale like 1 million people or something like that. I'm getting the numbers wrong. But you need to be able to scale way up. This is the kind of thing at 1.0 that would have taken a year if it had ever happened. And the team did it in like 2 or 3 weeks. It was really exciting and inspiring to see. Like, I didn't work on that, but I watched it from the outside. I'm like, wow, with this tiny team motivated behind a big goal that was like, hey guys, it's not like, are we going to do this? It's, we are going to do this. I've definitely come to appreciate just how lean something can be and not just get by, but actually thrive because it's that lean. I've always liked...
So he's talking about the fact that Elon came in and cut like 70% of the staff because a lot of it was bloat, a lot of it was waste, a lot of it people with these big salaries who were just doing meetings all the time and never getting anything done. Right. So what is really the end goal is to make the product of X better, or it was Twitter at the time. So he saw a need in Spaces, like Spaces could have been so much bigger. Like the fact that now you can do live streaming on X. You couldn't do that before. You could host long form videos on X. You couldn't do that before. You can do so many things on there now that you couldn't do before. And they had a way bigger staff, And, so that's what he's pointing to right here. how
But
like
look at the government.
Right.
How long does it take for things to get done?
Exactly.
Because you got to go through this. You got to, how many times we talk about bureaucracy of the
Mhm.
government? It's
the red tape.
All these things get in the way.
Mhm.
All the, what do they call it? Regulations, right?
Yep.
All these regulations that get in the way, that destroy the momentum of things. Because that's really what it is. It's momentum,
Yeah.
right? And if you can kill momentum, you kill the passion of what you're trying to do.
Yep. And that's one of the things that Doge and Trump are trying to do. I remember Trump, when he first got in office the first time, he cut a bunch of regulations, and that's why the economy started to do better. Let's play this clip about what Trump is trying to do with no tax on tips and all that stuff that they're claiming this is all for the billionaires. How can you argue against this, right?
The United States of America before 1913 only had tariffs. And then we created, of course, when we entered World War I, we all had to pitch in, and we created, of course, the brilliantly named Internal Revenue Service. That's why it's called the Internal Revenue Service. So Donald Trump has announced the External Revenue Service. Let's let outside people who live and breathe off our economy, let them start paying, and let's reduce the tax burden on Americans. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. This is turning that tariff money back to the American people, and that's what Donald Trump's going to do.
Yeah.
If you think about that, like
slush fund,
even when Kamala said, like after he said it,
Yeah.
no tax on tips, how are you going to do that?
Right.
What was
What was going to be your plan to do it?
Yeah, because she wouldn't. It would have been some BS.
It would have been a word
yeah.
salad.
She probably wouldn't.
So let's listen to the leader of the Democratic Party now. Hold on, what happened? Where did they just go? I just had what the heck? Hold on. There it is. So the leader of the Democratic Party apparently is gonna give her argument of why no tax on tips is bad because Trump wants to do it.
But in terms of no tax on tips, listen, I was a waitress, I was a bartender, I get it. And if you live off of tips, I get it. The one thing that I want people to think about is, even as a waitress, if any of you all else have gone like completely mad with every single job being a tipped job with an iPad screen now, like especially during COVID. I mean, it's even to the point where the freaking self-checkouts at the airport get tip screens. If you are tired of that, I do think it's important for us to recognize the danger of every job becoming a tipped job. And all of us then now having to pay each other's wages, not just in waitressing, not just in bartending. I'm talking about everything. And I think it's just a precipice that we all need to think about, because there's a very careful and slippery slope here that we just need to pause and consider, because then we can very easily enter a world where no one is paid, where like no one's employer is like actually paying their wages, and we're all just tipping each other and essentially GoFundMeing the entire economy.
Do you understand how economics? She doesn't understand how the market works in any way. You think people are going to sign up to be a cashier at a job where they have to work off of tips?
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
That makes no sense. Yeah. What are you talking about?
I wish there were comments.
Only thing I agree on is that it is annoying that
But they do that
machine,
now.
But that's the reason why they're doing it is because they're selling that as, it's like those machines are selling that as an option.
Right.
That's why I don't never tip on those machines, because you never tipped before.
Right.
So it's like,
why would I tip for something that you never tipped on
what
before?
Your job is. You're supposed to do this. It's not.
It's just like now
giving you extra.
Have you noticed like all the companies asking if you want to round up for donations to a certain thing?
No.
And it's always like some fund that's named after the company. You know exactly what that is, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you're basically trying to get everyone to round up so you can just keep that money and give 1% of it to some charity. And it's just more profit for you.
Yeah.
It's just a scam.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Nah, I'm good.
I'm not doing it.
I don't do it. I'm here to buy a certain thing. You know, if it's something that people need to get tipped, I tip great when I need to tip.
Yes.
I noticed on GoFundMe too, when they want you to give them money, like extra money.
A tip?
Yes.
So I'm already donating to you, and then give a tip on
I
top.
always put it to zero.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
crazy. Yeah, it's getting ridiculous, but it's just funny the acrobatics that they will go through to oppose Trump. Again, it's so, and it's not going to resonate with working people that are like, no, I don't want to pay tax. Like, you cannot convince me that that is a bad thing.
Yeah.
You're trying your best to convince me why this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Dude, we fought wars over these taxes that we pay so easily now.
And those
because we just been programmed.
Those taxes were like 1%, 2%.
Right. No taxation without representation.
We threw tea off of the ship for a 1% tax raise.
Yeah.
And now we over here paying 20, 30%. Like it's nothing.
Yeah. 20% tax on your and that's like minimum.
Yep.
19-20% tax.
That's why they're trying to get senior citizens more money, because we've been doing it for how long?
Right.
You know? It's like,
yeah, but again, you get used to it. I was watching something where they said they were just testing it. I think it was like in the 40s, like how many people are actually, and they thought that a lot of people wouldn't do it, but when you make it seem like it's your duty to do it, you know, then people just become programmed, and then the next generation thinks that's just what you do.
That's just normal.
Yeah.
It becomes like, oh, we pay taxes.
Yeah. And that's how we grew up. You think it's just normal.
I used to get paid and look my paycheck and say, they took $130 out.
Yeah.
That's crazy, you know? But you do get used to
You
it.
get
but
used
then
to
you're
it.
still complaining, like, this is not fair.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Because
you
deep
didn't
down
know.
inside we know it's theft.
Something
it's
is
theft.
not right. Yes.
Yeah. Just want to show this article real quick as we were talking about it. I had this saved Soros-backed couple filling GOP town halls with fake Republicans. Here's a clip from one of them, just real quick so y'all can see it.
Percentage of those people, and I know you care about the veterans, are veterans.
That's so little.
And that is a damn shame.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a damn shame.
I'm not a Democrat, but I'm worried about the veterans, man.
Well, I yielded to one of my elders, and I appreciate his comments. I think it's a great. I'm not gonna. We don't have time for everyone to stand up. I do got 2 more commitments today.
Yeah, so they start yelling at him. And we're supposed to believe these are Republicans that voted for Trump that are just upset with what he's doing.
Yeah.
Even though these are all the things he said he was going to do.
Yeah. The guy who was talking looked like the guy that keyed the car.
This is the guy that keyed the Tesla. Probably was him. And then, where is it? I don't know. Was it in this group? Nah, this is all the Stephen A. Smith stuff. I don't want to get to that. I just wanted to show Gavin Newsom talking about I had it somewhere. Gavin Newsom has started a podcast because he's trying to move in a different direction as well, right? Oh, here we go. And he's trying to modify a little bit and come more towards the center. You see how he wasn't at the top of that list for Democrats, right? So he was on his podcast and he brought on Charlie Kirk for his first episode, which was interesting. People were mad at him for that. Let's see if this is the clip I was talking about.
I think you talked about it the other day. A lot of folks were talking about that Carville article where he talked about
roll over and play dead.
Roll over. In essence, he said that. I think it was a strategic retreat, right? That we need to come back. Trump's starting to implode. His numbers are getting soft. This was even before the tariff issues, et cetera. And then come back and strike when hot. And I immediately, no BS, thought about you who's just 24/7 flooding the zone, owning this space, every day getting a convert, every day picking up 1, 2, 10,000 folks, continuing the momentum, coming out of this damn election. And then I'm thinking about, we're going to stand back and watch you run circles around us for 6 months, the next 2 or 3 years, waiting for the moment to finally strike. Struck me as not necessarily the best advice, and it's not a knock on Carville, who I have deep respect for. What's your thoughts?
That's okay. So I don't have to. He's right about one thing in the last 40 years. It's economy stupid, and boy, he spent down that one line pretty amazingly. Yeah, I hope you guys retreat.
Yeah, you kind of like the
more
advice.
For us.
You like
I mean,
the advice.
there's no opposition. There's no activist spark. You guys are posting these cringe videos on social media.
What are the videos? What are the ones that
I don't know.
most
This
cringy?
like harmonious thing of like 22 senators all saying
He's
the
talking
same
about
thing.
whenever- yeah, we posted
I didn't
that.
like it.
What do you-
go
what do
ahead. Go do more of that.
What do you do?
Please.
What do you do? Seriously, Charlie Kirk, give us some
Get
advice.
better ideas, Governor.
Like,
It's not. It's the same thing with Don Lemon.
Right.
It's the same mentality.
Right.
Like they're looking for
the strategy.
They're just looking for strategies.
But
on
you see how his mentality is. You're winning 1, 2, 3, 10,000 people every day. Like,
yeah, they don't get it.
No, he's just literally being authentic every day.
It's
and it's resonating with people that care about this country.
He literally says it. No, we're out to find the truth. We want to find the truth.
Right.
This is what we're doing. It's not a secret. To them, it's a secret. They're masking what they really want. And you see it how slimy he is in this interview, even like how he's like trying to play like how he's relatable, but at the same time you see there's an underlying thing going on that he's not telling.
We need to counter what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what he's really saying here.
That's not going to last long, his podcast.
Oh, but people are already mad at him. I'm going to show you a couple more clips from this because it was kind of epic.
Why is it you were able to clean it up for Xi Jinping, but
Oh,
you
that
can't
was
clean
you
it up?
guys.
No,
That was the
hold on.
dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. By the way, you guys weaponized that. I saw that on 25 things. It was the most ridiculous.
He's talking about, remember when Xi Jinping came to,
You know what? I will happily revert back to your
Can I have the streets
counterpoint.
as clean as Xi
Weaponized.
Jinping?
In this case, weaponized.
Can I
in
have
this
the,
case,
can I,
weaponized.
Can I get the Xi
It
Jinping
was
streets
ridiculous.
back?
Give me a break.
No, but Governor,
Give me a
with
break.
all due respect, I
That was-
saw
that
a
was
beautiful
absurd.
picture of San Francisco that looked like Singapore.
By the way,
and then Xi Jinping leaves and the Walking Dead come back.
By the way, it was
I-
APAC. You had dozens and dozens of foreign leaders. And California is not San Francisco, but I am the governor of California, not the mayor of California, I'm not the mayor of San Francisco.
You were the mayor, but I just want to understand
No, I
why
was the
is it
mayor
that we have to
back
clean it up?
20 years ago.
But you have to admit, it's emblematic of something that if enough important people show up, it can get clean. So why not make it clean all the time?
Yeah, he was wrecking him the whole podcast, dude. Here's another clip right here. What's this?
Democrats you admire out there right now?
Democrats I respect.
Were you a
I
mansion-
mean, Bobby
mansion
Kennedy
type?
I respect. Tulsi Gabbard.
Why are you laughing? Why are you smiling?
Because like they're on our team now because you guys kicked out like your best people.
That's all.
It's like the
Best
people that were into. This is a great point though, Governor.
It is.
Is that Bobby Kennedy was a heterodox opinion on a thing that a lot of people were concerned about. Get him out. He's an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard, who was an anti-war. Get her out. She's a Russian agent.
Yeah.
Do you guys see how you have an unhealthy purification process?
Yeah. Any Democrats you admire?
yeah. Like it doesn't.
It's so it's just so obvious. Like it's not even hard.
Yep.
Like it's not like
all he
he's
has
gotta
to do is be observational
like,
about the truth.
Yeah, that's what's a shame.
And like this is why these politicians, like the Gavin Newsom's, most of these people on the left, they won't do these type of podcasts,
Right.
Because they can't stand up to this type of scrutiny.
It's obvious. Like, come on,
But
man.
it's good he's doing this.
Oh, it's backfiring.
But the thing
it's
is,
backfiring, Mom.
This is my thing with him. The thing is, he's so delusional. Like when the ones who do it, they're delusional about themselves. They actually think they're relatable. They actually think they're down to earth. You know? Oh, I can have a good conversation with Charlie Kirk.
Right.
That's gonna
and show that I'm a moderate.
Yeah,
And then I
like-
can win some Republicans
my
over.
God.
You want to talk about how delusional? Watch this clip where he talks about his own son. I can't even believe he brought this up.
Last night, trying to put my son to bed. He's like, "No, Dad. What time? What time's Charlie gonna be here? What time?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're in school tomorrow." He's 13. He's like, "No. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming." I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is,
Come on,
the
you canceled
point.
school for like 2 years. Once one day.
The point is,
Yeah,
the
he
point,
kept roasting
which
this
is
dude,
you are
bro.
But listen, the thing is, his son is
a Charlie Kirk
not
fan.
going to be like him.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
And I don't know if y'all notice, like, Charlie Kirk, when he's going to these schools,
Yeah.
right? And the crowds,
Yeah.
They're astronomical. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
The change at these universities, because these people, they bring up a bunch of, he's talking to a lot of people that are against him, but the people who are for him, they're all like, it's way more,
right,
that are for him there, because you can tell by the crowd and the way they cheer, right?
Right.
And it used to not be like that. And I think I sent you, Jamie. What? No, I think I sent it to the whole our group text thing. With UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
How
they had
the
pastors coming there.
Yeah. What's his name? Stu Connectly.
Yeah,
right?
Connectly, yeah.
And just how many people were there for that.
And excited to be there for that.
Crazy.
At UC Berkeley.
At UC Berkeley. That's how you know there's
a shift happening.
A shift going on.
Let me play one more clip, because this is the part right here that got Gavin pretty much canceled and in trouble.
It's like, you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports, that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate.
But like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace, that these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well. So both things I can hold in my hand. How can we address this issue with the kind of decency that I think, is inherent in you, but not always expressed?
It's like,
doesn't it speak to the bullying thing we were just talking about? Right?
Yep.
Like, no, you have to hold the standard first. Then you can deal with
the fact that he even said it's unfair.
Right.
That got him in so much trouble.
Yeah, that triggered so many.
The fact that he even said that. They asked Hakeem Jeffries about it right after that, and he had to distance himself.
I want to ask about California Governor Gavin Newsom's comments saying that Democrats were in the wrong for allowing transgender athletes to compete in female and girls sports. What is your response to that after Democrats had opposed the women and girls in sports?
I haven't seen his comments. What Democrats opposed was unleashing sexual predators on girls throughout the United States of America.
What? Because this was right after Democrats unanimously voted against the bill protecting women from having men compete in their sports. Literally zero Democrats.
Yeah.
So now they're asking him about that because Gavin said it was unfair, but they all voted against it. So what was that?
What is he talking
What is he talking about?
Like, are you talking about men shouldn't be in women's bathrooms?
I don't, but that's why it didn't make no sense.
Like, yes, we agree too.
People are like, what are you talking about? That you had people online coming out, Gavin Newsom, you are a effing coward for not standing with trans people, would never support your ticket for president. And then, I don't know, did you guys see this moment, in this unhinged moment in Congress when there's a transgender Congress member from Delaware now. And the guy addressed.
That's a Mr.
Hold on, let me bring this sound in. So he addressed
from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, we have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply.
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman? Would you repeat what you just said?
He's so mad.
A duly elected representative from the United States of America, please.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency? I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this
You
hearing.
will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
This hearing is adjourned.
Because he introduced
I'm
as
so
Mr.
Yeah,
McBride.
So the one who's the Mister is all
the way,
but
to,
the Miss all the way to the right.
Yeah, let me make it big.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. Let me make it bigger for you.
All right, I just didn't know
Yeah.
who was talking. So
all the way to the right is the one who is, and have you been hearing about, like, they've been in Congress, they've been talking about which bathroom are they allowed to use? Is he allowed to be in the women's bathroom? And there's been certain Congress people that have been saying no, and they made it a whole big issue because this is what you introduce when you start bringing this stuff into, So now he introduced him as Mr. He introduced him as Mr. McBride.
Yeah.
And then McBride says, "Thank you, Madam Chairman,"
that's what
as
I
a
was saying.
response, like
Yeah,
to
that's
try
what I
to.
heard. I was like, he said madam.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's okay for that, but they can't say Mr., which is, he is a man. It's like crazy.
Yeah. So, that's what's going on in Congress now.
Just terrible.
Yeah.
it's a lot of struggle going on. The struggle is real.
Mm-hmm. I gotta bring this story up real quick. Let's go. I'm gonna go to the other view, Mom. Pull that down so you can see it big. So this is another person who was running for city council. So a Washington trans OnlyFans city council appointee rescinds candidacy after cannibal fetish controversy. So Democrats appointed a transgender woman to serve on the Washington City Council, only to rescind the appointment after conservatives exposed her, quote unquote, her OnlyFans account when she described wanting to impregnate women and then eat them.
That's totally demonic. Oh my
But listen, where do you draw the line? What's wrong? If you can have Mr. McBride and that's all good, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, there is no line if you allow it to be.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So moving on to what you sent me. Let me
we can save it too.
Save it?
Yeah. We don't have to go through that.
All right, we'll save it for tomorrow for next week. But before we go, I do want to play something that was interesting. I saw Trump make an announcement. I don't know if you guys saw this. Talking about the Second Amendment. You guys see this?
Nope.
Seventh, I will protect the right of self-defense everywhere it is under siege, and I will sign concealed carry reciprocity. Your Second Amendment does not end at the state line.
Does that mean he's going to sign concealed carry for every state?
I mean, it is a constitutional right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That would be crazy.
Yeah. It would be.
To like fully open up the Second Amendment to where you don't even need to file all the paperwork. It's just concealed carry anywhere. Some states already have this.
Yeah.
They call it constitutional carry, where you can
do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was pretty crazy. Oh, I also want to show this quick story, real quick, about how the news media is just so foul the way they do Trump. Tim Pool was reported on this.
The Daily Beast ran this headline: "Don't tell Melania. Trump once offered rising MAGA star his bed." And look at that photo. A scathing Melania looking at Trump. How dare you? These people are evil. Here's the story. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna was pregnant And Trump said, you can lay down here with your husband, just don't tell Melania, as a passive joke. That's it. And I'm not gonna bear the lead on this one, but I will show you the responses and the facts. Anna Luna has responded to this. This is what they do. This is, I wonder if they do it on purpose, to be completely honest.
They do.
Our little secret. The alleged comments cast new light on the president's eyebrow-raising marriage to Melania Trump. And then this photo. Trying to make it look like Melania is furious with Trump. Let me show you the post they made. The Daily Beast says, the new revelations reveal how Trump reportedly offered a female congresswoman his bed as long as she kept it a secret from his wife.
Oh, my God.
In just the last 7 days, 8,300.
And you know people ain't going to read the whole thing. They're just going to read
They're
that.
just going to read that headline in that first little blip. Yeah.
He was kidding. They were there, and he's like, you can lay down in this bed. She was pregnant. Take a look at this. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna, woman in question, has responded to this and says nothing inappropriate occurred. The situation is being presented out of context. Trump offered her a bed to lie if she needed as she was experiencing pregnancy-related issues on Air Force One.
So this was on Air Force One.
Okay, look. I know you know. I know you know. You're watching this video. You know they lie. They've lied about everything. Why? Well, these people are evil. So I tell you this. Share the video. You got friends, you got family that don't believe it, that are liberal. I know. A lot of people say, Tim, even when I show them the proof, they don't want to believe it. Well, one step at a time, I guess. But
don't worry, Tim. We shared it just now.
Sounds like Islam.
It's cult mentality.
Yeah,
it's cultish
That's what it
mentality.
is.
Because people are, and this is why they set up these headlines like this. This is why they try to get these stories like this, because it's like, who even gave them that information? Yeah. You know, because clearly Paulina Luna didn't tell them that. She probably told the story to someone who then told it to someone else, who then gave it to the Daily Beast as like this salacious story. They probably paid them $5,000 for this story. You know what I mean? But it's literally nothing.
Of course not.
It's just so annoying and frustrating how they do this. How they try to paint this dude like this constantly.
It's like he said, evil.
Oh yeah, there was the did you see that plane, the same airline that we showed before that had the women that we're talking about, no what was it? No male flights?
Yeah.
Did you see that they almost crashed another plane?
No.
Yes.
In Florida?
Yes.
Mist in the air. The plane then circled.
Somebody saw some sparks from one of your wings.
Oh no, it's at LaGuardia.
You guys feel anything?
We did, but we'll check it.
The Delta regional flight arrived from Jacksonville, Florida just after 10 Sunday night. 80 passengers and crew on board. Conditions were suboptimal but not extreme. Winds gusting to 35 miles per hour with some mist in the air. The plane then circling for another landing attempt. In a statement, Delta says the crew executed a go-around, then landed safely and proceeded to its arrival gate, adding, "We apologize to our customers for the experience."
So apparently the plane was landing and one of the wings hit the ground and like sparks flew up.
All right, I'm not flying Delta.
Because they've hired that what is the name of that Endeavor Air. Yeah. A pilot for Endeavor Air hit into a runway with the wing, causing sparks. She apparently had no clue, because that was them asking, like, did you see those sparks? And they're like, no, we didn't feel it. Yeah, but that was remember that whole social media campaign about what was the hashtag? What was the hashtag?
But this is basically DEI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they made it a point to have
pride of an all women's.
This is it right here. They made
men? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Live fast, die young, bad girls do it well. Live fast, die young.
Unmanned flights. That's what it was. Unmanned, because it's all women. Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine if you're not lowering standards.
Right. But when you're looking at all these issues they're having, you're like,
yeah.
All right, last clip before we wrap up.
And even that, dude, it shows you like they want to play the part rather than actually do the thing.
Exactly. You want to just be able to make the social media post about it and show off. Speaking of unmanned, I think I got a lot of insight into what's going on with one of the biggest Trump haters out there, Mr. Alec Baldwin. Watch this clip of him and his wife on this red carpet, and they're talking to his wife, who is that fake Spanish lady. Remember, she pretends to have a Spanish accent. You don't know that story? Yeah, like she's pretends to be a Spanish woman, but she's not. And watch how she handles him on this, because this tells you a lot about why he's been acting the way he acts.
It's gonna be great. You're a winner. Oh my God, when I'm talking, you're not talking. No, when I'm talking, you're not talking. This is why, yes, we'll have to like just cut him out of the show. It's gonna be great. You're a winner. Oh my God, when I'm talking, you're not talking. No, when I'm talking, you're not talking.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. When I'm talking, you're not talking. And he's praising her. Yeah. He's praising her. Look at that look on his face. Look at that look. Pull that back up, Mom. Look at that look on his face. Kill me. Yeah, he's like, this is my life.
Yeah, she's totally like disrespectful,
right,
and degrading him, right, in front of everybody. Like that's how much she cares,
right. She doesn't respect him at all in front of everyone and TV cameras. This is extra interviewing them.
She should join The View.
He would be perfect for that. Yeah. But when you're emasculated like that by your own wife, and think about it, there's no pleasing her. So like he probably psychologically does so many things just to get her. I mean, his whole anti-Trump thing might just be because she's so anti-Trump. You know what I mean? And he's thinking, this is how I'm going to show her. And not knowing that none of that is going to work.
But again, this is why men have to be men and not in the way God created us to be men.
Yeah.
Not in a false image of what a man is.
Right.
Manly man. No, we got to be men the way God created us. And when we do that, everything starts to move a little bit more peacefully.
I mean, he looks miserable.
Yeah, he does. So we had some comments. Ibrahim Rahman said score. I don't know what he's talking about, but then he had a bunch of laughing emojis. Denver said, Uncle Denny said, trying to drag everybody into their fantasy world just wrong. Yeah. But yeah, that's it, guys. We're going to wrap it up there. Thank you guys for watching. As always, we appreciate each and every one of you guys who tune in and check out the live stream that we do every Tuesday night. Again, Young Lion TV podcast. If you want to support what we do, if you think we do a good job, you think you like the commentary, you like our perspective on things, go on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Young Lion TV, and become a member over there. Sign up and help us grow the community of the Young Lions. Also, if you want to get the merch, head on over to our shop, which is on our band's website, jatan.com/shop, where you can get the different merch stuff. And we have a brand new album too, that's available now. It's called The Art of Breaking Through Shadows. It's on all the streaming platforms, but you can order your copy of it right there. We also have vinyl for sale, which is amazing. But yeah, we appreciate y'all. Hit that like button, share the video. Keep rocking with us. We'll be back next week. Peace.
Young Lion go live, yeah. Young Lion, you rich, yeah. This